Stand by for action. We are about to launch Bloke in a Pub.
Well, hello and welcome to Bloke Between Pubs. This week brought to you from the bonnet of the beast, going off-road to make sure that your finances are gripped. There's a couple of things we need to talk about that are going on across the pond at the moment. And the first one is what's called the anti-inflation bill, which you might have seen in the news, but you might have actually not really grasped the significance of it. And it's something that's been pushed through by the President, the Biden administration, in recognition that they've got an absolutely enormous financial deficit. What do I mean by that? If you look at the revenue that the US makes from selling goods and services compared to their expenditure, they spend an extra $1.4 trillion every year. That's $1.4 million every year. And they've recognised that this is actually becoming unsustainable. So they've introduced the anti-inflation bill. Three principal prongs of that. The first is that the kind of tax loopholes introduced by the previous incumbent. Mr. Trump introduced some massive tax breaks for big corporations, and those are being closed by the anti-inflation bill to bring in greater revenue. There's also a recognition that one of the biggest sources of inflation that's hurting people in the States is through ageing. An ageing population requires more drugs, and drug inflation tends to run at about twice average. So it's one of the aims of the bill is to bring down the cost of pharmaceuticals. And then the final one is that, as we've all recognised recently, is the cost of fuel has rocketed largely as a result of Ukraine and the constraints on oil and gas supplies. The cost of fuel has gone up tremendously as well, and this is another key focus of the anti-inflation bill is to promote sustainability for fuel, particularly for those type of fuels that are renewable, and there are huge subsidies the US government's putting in behind those. So three central planks, which is to increase tax revenues from big corporates, to reduce the cost of drugs and pharmaceutical inflation and healthcare inflation, and to promote fuel sustainability and self-reliance in the United States. Ultimately aimed to bring down an absolutely massive deficit which the US can no longer afford. And this does raise the question, of course, is why should I care? Well, I'll answer that by saying, why should you care about the largest single economy in the world and how it's run, when that economy represents about 52% of global capitalization, and the currency of that country is used internationally to support trade? Why should you worry about that? And I think that kind of is self-explanatory. Anyway, so that's what the bill is, and I think we'll probably do this as a two-parter because the ramifications of this then roll into discussions about the US debt ceiling and all the implications for that and for your investments. And we'll be back with that from another part of the beast next time.